So good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Hope. I am the Director of Library Services, and welcome to the Academic Support workshops that we have. This is, I'm not sure what number this is, but we do have quite a number of workshops that will be continued throughout the winter 2025 semester. And at the end of this session, I will definitely show you the rest of the sessions if you do not know. But tonight we'll be talking about how to narrow your research paper topic. Narrowing your research paper topic may seem like a daunting task, but I'm here to give you some tips and some steps to help you try to get a grasp on how to narrow your research paper topic. All right, so what tonight we're going to go over is the importance of narrowing a research paper topic. We're also going to go into the steps to choose and narrow the research paper topic. And then we're also, along with the steps, I will definitely go into some library databases and websites that you can use to help you pick and narrow down your research paper topic. All right, the first part of why we should narrow down our research paper topic is to focus on your research. All right, you want to avoid being overwhelmed and unfocused with scattered research. Concentrate on specific aspects to help make your research much more manageable. When we say focus on your research, not to be overwhelmed, when you go into the library databases or you go into using the World Wide Web, once you put in a certain amount of keywords or a broad topic, you're going to get millions of hits, maybe even thousands of hits, depending on where you go. All right. So that is the whole point, that we want to make sure we want to have our research to have a focus. Where do we want to go with this topic? All right. We're not just going to stick to one big broad topic, because we're going to get definitely amount of different avenues that you may want to go down, and you're not really going to be sure where to go. All right, so this is the importance of narrowing down the research topic. Next two is to manage your time and your resources effectively. Okay, research can be very, very time consuming. It is the most important part of writing the research paper or an essay. All right, and it can be very resource heavy. And when we mean by resource heavy, there are many different places that you can go. You can go on the internet, you can look at books, you can listen to somebody give an interview about it, you can listen to the news, you can go on the World Wide Web. There's so many different outlets of where you can retrieve your research from. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a focus on where you want to find your research, credible searches, and you want to make sure that you're making sure that you have some time management skills that go with that. Okay, and you also want to make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin, and can work within the constraints of your timeline and your resources. So we all know when we mean by timeline is the due date of when assignments are to be completed. All right, so that's why we want to make sure that we use our time and our resources effectively. Also, too, a good thing that sometimes gets overlooked is you want to target a specific audience, okay? Because sometimes you may think, okay, I'm just going to talk about, you may have an idea of who or what you may want to talk about. And then when you start to do your research, it may be something completely different, or you didn't even think about what this topic could really be affecting. Or you just your research may go in a different direction. Okay, so we want to make sure that we and think about what type of specific audience that we may want to look at when we're narrowing down our research topic. So importance of it, just to recap: focus on your research, manage time and resources effectively, and you want to think of a specific audience that you may want to target. All right, so here are the 4 steps. We're going to jump right into it. Here are the 4 steps to choose. Okay, so we have to choose and to narrow the research topic. All right, first is we're going to select the broad topic. That's the easiest part. Okay, we want to select the broad topic. Then 2, we want to narrow that broad topic. Okay, then we want to sharpen the focus to develop a research question by using the 4W method, which is the who or the what, the when, where, and the why. Okay, and then from there, you're going to formulate your research question. Okay, and just to touch one bit on the research question, The research question is not the end all be all. It can change because you're still doing the research. So we just want to get to an idea of where we want to go when we want to research, okay? So let's take a look at each step, okay? The first one is to choose a broad topic, okay? And what I have on here is one of the library databases because we can have an idea in our head where we want to go in regards to a topic. That's great. If you have a topic that you already have in mind or the professor has given you a topic, that is great. But sometimes we really don't know where to go to find topic, all right? So the library database, if you're unsure what a library database is a library database caters to different subjects that has different articles from newspapers, magazines, journals, all over the place. So all the credible information that you will find on the World Wide Web are all curated for you in a library database. And one of those library databases that you can start to look at some topics is called Gale in Context Opposing Viewpoints, okay? And Gale in Context and Opposing Viewpoints has articles from different magazines, journals, newspapers. It has videos, it has different types of viewpoints. But what it has is a browse issue option. So if you go to Opposing Viewpoints in Gale, and how you would get to these library databases, if you go to My Monroe to library resources, which I will show you in a second. To get to these databases, you will come to Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints, and you would click on Browse Issues. And once you come to Browse Issues, there are a whole bunch of different topics that you could take a look at if you need help finding a broad topic. All right. So let's quickly go to My Monroe, and I can show you how to get there. Right. So we're at My Monroe. All right. If you're not sure how to get to My Monroe, you can always just type mymonroe.monroeu.edu, and it'll take you right to this to the My Monroe. Just to let you know that to access the library resources, you must be on a desktop computer. You cannot be on your phone. Library resources you will not have access to. So let's log into My Monroe. Right, once we're in My Monroe, you want to make sure under your name it says student, so you can have access to library resources. If under your name it says alumni or member, you're not going to have access to this library resources gadget. And again, you cannot look at this on a phone. You must be on a laptop or a computer because the My Monroe app does not give you library resources. So you're going to come here to library resources. All right, and then we have some information about the library, which you can take a look at on the website that I have provided for you previously. But you're going to come down here and click on databases. All right, and once you come to databases, you will come here, and this is have all the databases that we subscribe to as Monroe University libraries. All right, and each database caters to a different subject. All right. The database that I speak about in regards to looking for broad topics is Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints. So you're going to scroll down under G for Gale, and you're going to come down, scroll a little bit further down. Did I pass it? I think I did. How come I can't see it? Oh, I'm sorry. I passed this all the way up here. So sorry. So you're going to come to Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints. Click here. All right. And this is the screen that you will see first. So to get to those topics that I just had on the previous screen, okay, you're going to click on here where it says Browse Issues. All right. And once you come to Browse Issues, if you're unsure of what topic to use or to do, or if you want to just browse different topics that you may want to explore, you can definitely come to this database to find some different topics. Okay. All right, let's go back to the library, to the PowerPoint. Okay, another database that you can use to search for topics, for broad topics, or just topics in general, is the library database Issues and Controversies, which is an info-based database. All right, it is a different vendor than the database that we just looked at. The database that we just looked at previously was a Gale database. And a Gale the database that we looked at under Gale was Opposing Viewpoints. Another database that we can use is called Issues and Controversies. So how do we get to Issues and Controversies? Similar to how we got to Gale and Context, Opposing Viewpoints, you would come back to My Monroe, all right? And make sure you're always under the databases option. And we're going to scroll down all the way to I. All right, I passed it again. All right, and then we're going to go here to click on Issues and Controversies. All right, and how to get to all of these data, how to get to all of the lists that I had showed previously. You will come to where it says all issues A to Z. All right, and then once you click here, you can browse all of these issues. Okay, so we'll stop here because I see there's a question. Professor Irving?
Yes, give me a second. I'm sorry. Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. I'm trying to give my link to my other class, and it says that the link is no longer valid.
Okay, give me a second and let me just get that for you.
Thank you. I apologize
No
to
worries.
interrupt you. Oh, good evening. Oh, Maxwell, how are you? Hmm.
Okay, try this link because it should be no issues now. All right. You could just send me a message privately and let me know if it doesn't work, but that should be the link. Okay. All right. So we're just gonna pause here too. Does anybody have any questions so far since we're here? Any questions so far how we got to these databases, looking for browsing and issues or controversies? Okay. All right. So now continuing on to our PowerPoint. Okay. So other areas that you can use, some websites that you can use besides using the library database is to search for broad topics if you're unsure. You can use the Britannica website, which is the britannica.com/procon. So previously, this was procon.org, and Britannica took on procon.org. So it's pretty much still the same website, but it's just under Britannica, which is a popular encyclopedia. And you can come here and you can also look for pro-con issues to help you. All right. If you want to look at more topics that in regards to health, just to get an idea for different topics, you can come to the National Institutes of Health. Okay. And the link is there. Also, too, you can go to the American Psychological Association, which is APA, which everybody should be familiar with because you should be writing your papers in APA format. That is the format that Monroe University adheres to when you're writing your papers. The American Psychological Association does have topics to help you. They're mainly for psychology topics. If you definitely want to take a look at that as well. And also, too, one of the websites that I prefer to use is the Pew Research Center because they deal with general and trending issues. The Pew Research Center has great topics for you there for you if you're not unsure where you want to go in regards to looking for topics. Okay, so those are the areas to help you to navigate finding a broad topic for you to think about. You can also look at just a tip for you. You can all look at current newspapers headlines as topics, but just be a little mindful that sometimes these topics are hot off the press. So there may not be a lot of research in regards to it. but we can definitely show you how to, if you visit the library, it can definitely show you how to look at these newspaper topics just to keep with time, if you want to search for new and fresh topics in regards to that. All right. So now step 2, now we're going to narrow from that broad topic. So again, we're not just going to put in broad topics when we search. As we go back to, again, the importance of narrowing down our research topic is we're not just going to put very broad topics because we're going to get a lot of hits. Okay. So for instance, we're not just going to put video games into a search engine or a library database because it's very, very broad. All right. Another thing that you don't want to do is to go too narrow when you're searching. And sometimes we may get hung up on that, which is totally okay, but we want to scale it back a bit. Like, for instance, the impact of video games played on a Nintendo Switch during the COVID-19 crisis, on social skills of suburban youth. All right, we have a lot of factors in that area in regards to what type of console that was used, which is a Nintendo Switch, during a COVID-19 crisis, which is totally okay. That can be used, all right? But then if you want to focus on the actual social skills, and which those social skills can be many different types of social skills, and then of suburban youth, all right? So we already have minimized ourselves to that, not saying that there is no research on these particular areas, but in regards to this, to find these different components, you may be overwhelmed because you have narrowed down your search too far. Okay. But to get that perfect kind of research question, when we mean my research question, this is the possible question that we can answer when we do our research. Okay. These are not yes or no questions. When we think of research questions, these are not yes or no questions. These are questions that require us to look to find different answers, or potentially a vast majority of different type of connections to the research question. All right. And you can also have multiple research questions. That is totally okay. All right. But this is for you when you think about when you have the perfect research question. Do video games have a positive or negative effects on social skills of teenagers? Okay. Because when we think about it, we're already thinking about just the video games in general, not just a certain console. We want to think about the positive or negative effects. We don't know which one, okay, of social skills in regards to that. And then we have a focus on just teenagers. Okay, so this is a perfect research question because also we can play around with going into keywords, which I will talk about in a second as well. But this is a perfect research question for us to get to finding research on our topic. All right. So how do we form these research questions from this? Okay. So another area that you can definitely do to narrow down to get that research question is to use another database that I personally like to personally enjoy, which is under Gale Academic OneFile, and it's called Topic Finder. And I'll show you this in a second, but just to take a look at the screen here, what it pretty much gives you. As you can see, there's a wheel in the middle, a colorful wheel, and it has different type of keywords that you can use. And then on the right hand side here, it has some results, which are articles that go with that keyword. Go with the keywords that we're looking at. And I'll show you this in a second. All right. But this database is Gale Academic OneFile. And to get to the topic finder, to this wheel, which I will show you in a second, you can use any Gale database and you could just scroll down. Okay. And it just helps us to narrow down where we want to talk about in regards to our broad topic that we have just looked at. So just to keep with time and stick with the video games, let's go to this database, Gale Academic OneFile Topic Finder. So again, we always come to My Monroe, and we're going to go up to G for Gale. All right. And then we're going to go to Academic OneFile. Okay. All right. And this is the database that we have. So you can always use the search bar here just to start to do your search with Gale Academic OneFile. But to get to the topic finder, you will scroll down on this screen. Okay, and the topic finder is right under where it says search tools. All right, then we click on topic finder and we're going to click on go to topic finder. Okay, so for instance, all right, let's say if we wanted to look up a different broad topic, let's say if we wanted to look up gender identity. Okay. Ooh, can't even spell today. Okay. All right. So what you can do is I like to use the wheel option. You can definitely use the tiles. All right. And then what this does, and you can again, you should use for the topic finder just general keywords to help you. And what it does here, it gives you additional words. The big words, the words in the middle are the main terms that go with what we have searched for in regards to gender identity. And then the outside are words that go with the big scope that is on the inside. All right. So we wanted to look at other areas in regards to gender identity just to start to get a gauge of where we want to look at. Let's say we wanted to look at gender diversity as a whole. We can click on that whole area. And once we click on that whole area, as you notice that it gets red because we looked at that whole area, on the right-hand side, they're going to give us articles that go exactly with our topic of gender diversity. All right. So let's say we thought of gender identity, but we had no idea where to go as far as to go with research in regards to gender identity. Then we thought about, okay, what about gender diversity? This is something else that we didn't even think about. Okay. Now let's say if you wanted to go even further than that with gender diversity, let's say I wasn't even sure. Let's go to the psychology of it. When you click on the psychology in regards to the gender diversity of gender identity, on the right-hand side, it gives us articles that go exactly with that topic. Okay. So in a sense, the topic finder helps us to not only think of other keywords, okay, and we'll keep talking about keywords going forward, all right, but it also gives us different scope on how we can do our research, okay, because there's different areas that we didn't think of, and it also narrowed down for us. So in a sense, what it does our outline for us. At some point you will probably have to do an outline for your research paper. This wheel can do that for you, and you already have the articles on the right hand side that go along with what you're looking for. Okay. Also, it doesn't hurt to start to gather some keywords. Just write it down. Okay. Let's say if you don't even want to use any of these components together, you could just start to say, I wanted to talk about gender identity and healthcare, or I wanted to talk about gender and gender identity and what happened with in regards to sexual orientation or youth or anything of that sort. Okay. So this is just ways for you to be much more comfortable with your topic. Okay. All right. So when you use this topic finder, again, you can use this topic finder on the database Gale Academic One file. Scroll down to go to topic finder. Okay, I know I just spoke. I know there was some things in the chat. I'm glad you find this very cool and very useful. Okay. um, um, okay. Irvin is going through her students. Okay. All right. So this is not Cengage. This is Gale Academic One file, Ebony, just to be sure. Hopefully I'm answering your question correctly. It's okay. All right. So just how to get here one more time. Come to My Monroe. All right. Come to
I'm
library
sorry. I'm
resources.
sorry, Dr. Hope. They were saying how great it was, and I was
Oh,
trying to see if they was paying attention. So I
oh, okay.
asked them, how did she get there? And then I put, let's see who's paying attention. So
I
that's why
see.
Ebony was saying Cengage. But I'm glad you correct them. So you're gonna go over it again, but I just wanted to make sure they was paying attention.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect. I just want to make sure because I'm trying to read at the same time and do this. So
No, you're
perfect.
doing
Okay,
a great job. I just wanted to
okay,
make sure
great.
they was listening.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys are on it. Okay. And again, you come to databases, and all of these databases are here for you to use. The ones that we just looked at was Gale Academic One File, Gale Opposing Viewpoints and Context. I mean, in Opposing Viewpoints, Gale and Context Opposing Viewpoints, excuse me. And then we also looked at Issues and Controversies in InfoBase. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint, and that was Topic Finder. Okay, so again, narrowing down the broad topic. All right, use keywords to narrow down and focus on your research topic. So again, using Topic Finder is a really good way to start to get your keywords. All right. Your broad topic will be vast and a complicated subject that you may feel overwhelmed, okay, to even think about. Don't worry about that, okay? Whatever broad topic is smaller, related subtopics will allow you to focus on one or two essential aspects, and these will be your keywords, okay? Keywords are the most important thing, okay? And the reason why I say using keywords is because when you put the same words into even online or the databases, you're going to get the same results, okay? So we want to make sure that the keywords are important, okay? So keyword search tips, okay? Build a list, keyword list of additional words you know about the topic, okay? There's not just one word that goes with that topic. There may be, all right? But there's other different things. Let's say if you're, you want to talk about, I don't know, workplace monitoring. Another word for that would be surveillance or privacy invasion. These are other things that go similarly with our topic, okay? But if you keep putting the same words, you're going to get the same results, okay? We want to mix that up. So start to build a keyword list or words that are similar to it or go together with this topic, all right? Also, too, we can identify synonyms to your keywords, okay? So if you need additional assistance with synonyms, that's totally okay. You can use a thesaurus at the Monroe University Libraries if you're ever on campus, or you can always use the website Power Thesaurus. Okay, and I like to use Power Thesaurus because what it is, it gives us additional words that we didn't think of to search. Okay, so let's go to Power Thesaurus really quickly, and I'll just show you. Okay, so let's just keep with time. Let's say we wanted to do video games, okay? Click on video games, okay? We have additional words that we can use, all right? So let's say if you still wanted to talk about video games, but you're getting the same results over and over, you can put in computer games if you wanted to focus on computer games that are not on a console. If you wanted to do electronic games, console games, gaming, okay? So you can always use Power Thesaurus. I love this website because it does help you give you additional synonyms for whatever keyword or topics that you're using, okay? So you can do Power Thesaurus to help you start to narrow down, well, not narrow down, but give you additional keywords in regards to that, okay? All right, also to do a quick background search or pre-search that may help you identify effective keywords, because we know words change. So what was the original word or the original meaning of that? It's always good to find some background or historical context about your research topic to know where it is presently, all right, how it got there, all right, what it has transformed to be. All right, so always do a quick background search in regards to that. In this instance, I'm just saying this now, it is okay to use Wikipedia, okay? Because sometimes Wikipedia does give you just a scale overall for background research. I didn't say to use this as one of your sources, but just to get an overall sense of it, what your topic is, it's all right. All right, nobody would know. All right, another database that you can use to get some background information is the database Credo Reference. Okay, that is a database just specifically for background and historical information. if you need any type of background or historical information on your topic. How to get back there, again, drill this into your head. When you come to My Monroe, come to library resources. We're going to click on databases. All right, we're going to scroll down to C for Credo reference is here. Click on Credo reference, and then you come here, and this is the Credo reference database, okay? And this tells you right here, background information to start your research. You can also look here where it says browse by subjects to give you additional topics here, but they give you really broad subjects. So you may want to look at it on your own in regards to that. But let's say if we wanted to look up, I'm just having here because of diabetes. Let's say we wanted to talk about diabetes. This is just a topic that we have here. All right. If you click on, if you put the topic into this search bar, it will come up with some results in regards to your topic. And how you know that is background information, because it mainly comes from encyclopedias, dictionaries, and you can see it here. Encyclopedia of Depression. This is a encyclopedia of feeding and eating disorders. And if you click on it, it'll give you some information in regards to that topic. Okay, so Credo reference is specifically just for background and historical information. All right, I'm going to take a pause here. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, it's totally all right. Okay, and again, this is not for you to memorize. You're more than welcome to, like I said, all this information will be up on the library website, and I'll also email it to your professor just so you can have it as well. Okay. All right, so now we get to step 3 to sharpen the focus of your research question using the 4W method, okay? And again, the 4W method is who or what to research, okay? Who or what goes together, because it could be a person, obviously, or it can be an actual subject or such, all right? So we'll put who and what together because those go hand in hand, all right? Next, we can think about when was a person or subject active, okay? I want you to think about, is there some sufficient information available to develop a good paper on this subject, okay? And again, I know I mentioned this earlier, you got to think of the relevance on how new it is, all right? Or if there's enough information on it. So that's just something else you can think about in regards to using the when, okay? The where is also could be interchangeable because you may not want to talk about a certain time frame, okay? But you can definitely incorporate it as one of your areas to help you narrow down to your research question is where did the person live? Where did the person or subject live? Or did the events take place? All right. Also, too, what you could do in regards to why is the subject important or interesting to me or interesting overall, or why is it current? Why is it relevant? Okay. So the why is the most important part because that is going to give you, and it's not necessarily interesting to you, but why is it going to give you enough research to write that paper or that essay? Okay. And you can also think about, can I conduct this research objectively? Okay. And when we think of objective, we want to make sure this information relies on facts without judgment. So we're taking our opinion out of this, okay? Because in regards to the subject, you may be well versed in this subject or this topic, all right? But you cannot put your opinions or your thoughts into this paper without research being backed up, okay? And it's not to say that your opinion doesn't matter or what you have seen, your experiences don't matter, okay? But we need to have the research to back up this topic. That's why it was a research question. It is not the I believe question or I know question. This is a research question. So everything that you think about or everything that you know, find an article that states it. okay? Find somebody who states this in a credible source, okay? Not saying whoever you may know, if there's somebody that you may know is well versed in this topic, may be a professional or a guru in this area. You could take their word for it. Just make sure it's okay with your professor. You can use that person as a credible source. All right. But you want to make sure that you focus on the research aspect of it and be objective, just to rely on facts. All right. So how do we sharpen this focus a little bit better? Okay. So I have to choose a broad topic and my keywords. All right. And again, we can add on more keywords as the topic becomes much more focused. Totally okay. So what we want to think about is, let's say I choose healthcare workers and essential workers. And the reason why we have healthcare workers and essential workers, because they can go hand in hand. Okay. That is a keyword aspect that we may want to look at. Okay. Is healthcare workers and essential workers. And I also want you to notice here that the AND is in capital letters. Okay. That is essentially called a Boolean search. So you can put this and in either your library data in a library database or any type of search engine or the World Wide Web. All right. Because you want to tell the database or the internet that you're looking for these two types of keywords and not the and as an additional word. Okay. And that's BOOLEAN in regards to using the Boolean search. Okay, so you can look at healthcare workers and essential workers because it's pretty much the same. Okay, all right, so that's still pretty broad in regards to that. So what we want to do is we also want to think about job satisfaction, okay, and we want to think about COVID. Okay, this is just things that we could start to brainstorm when we're using the 4W method. Okay, the what is the job satisfaction? Okay, the who is the essential and healthcare workers or workers in the healthcare industry. Okay, see how you started to add on more keywords to that. The where is I'm interested in healthcare workers in the United States. Okay, sometimes you may find some research that may be international, national, all right, or local. All right, just make sure you stay within the same realm. All right, in regards to, and what I mean by same realm, if you're focusing on the United States, you don't want to get international information in it because it may coincide. Or if it flows with your research paper, great, but try to stay within the same area. Okay, two, now we have the when during the COVID pandemic, and then so from late 2019 on forward. Okay, also two, when you're doing your research, you may not want to have research that's too old. Depending on the topic, you may not want to go too far back, no more than 5 years or 10 years, depending on your topic, except if you're talking about the historical background information in regards to that. So that's something else you want to think about in regards to the when. All right, so I have all of these components to set up my potential research question that I may want to use. And again, you can have multiple research questions. This is just one research question to help us narrow down our focus. If we use a topic finder on the Gale Academic OneFile database, we can have multiple questions by doing the 4W method. All right, so then now we have our research question to formulate. Okay. How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected job satisfaction among essential healthcare workers in the United States? Okay. Now we have gone from having just one broad topic of, let's say, COVID-19 or essential healthcare workers, or even job satisfaction. We could take any of these components are interchangeable, all right? But we took these pieces and made it one research question based on the 4W method, okay? So what you want to do is you want to get to the keywords and to formulate different research questions to help. All right? Okay. I know I have talked everyone's head off. Hopefully you all learned something new, and we're right at the 8:20 mark But before I leave, I'm going to put up the workshops that we have coming up. All right, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you all. Okay. So tonight was the how to narrow your research paper topic. February 20th is the managing test anxiety. And this is for everyone, okay? Next on February 26th, I'll be doing APA basics, which I know is probably very important. That session is probably going to be pretty packed, which is okay. And then I'll also be doing another workshop on navigating the library database. We're going to look at another library database, which is Discovery Service for Monroe. If you're in EN 121, on March 6th, they'll be creating an e-portfolio in Canva. March 10th, Ms. Powell, Ms. Powell, who is the head of the Student Success Center, will be doing writing your clear and concise thesis statement. That workshop is going to be very congruent with tonight's sessions in regards to narrowing your research paper topic, because from your research question, you have to have a thesis. So this is all the steps. And then also too, Professor Powell will be doing revising and editing your essay. All right. And then Professor Roberts will be doing how to successfully prepare for your research. Prepare for your math test. All right.